Happy Friday, everybody.
Hey
How are
guys.
y'all doing?
Good. What's up?
Good.
Pretty good.
How you
Yeah,
doing? You're awful happy it's Friday.
I am.
Look
It's
at you.
it's been a good week. It's we've had a very productive week. So
We have. And we should tell everybody up front, I'm heavily medicated right now. I'm feeling that Sudafed. I'm feeling that Benadryl kicking in on top of
So
all
am
that
I.
coffee. Oh, yeah. Yeah. We're going to go in a lot of different directions today. Anyway, where would
Was
you
it?
like to start, Amy? Do you have anything you want to cover?
I do just want to quickly update on the Chris Knives and Mr. DNA.
Oh, good.
Um, those have arrived at the port. They have cleared customs. So we are just waiting on the containers to be released to us. And then as soon as we have a better schedule of when they're going to get delivered, we'll let you guys know and we'll issue those remaining balance payments. So just keep an eye out on your emails for us for the next week or so. And we'll get you guys some more information as we know more.
Cool. We haven't had anything go to customs jail for a long time, right?
Yeah.
It's been
Yeah.
a minute.
Hey, I'm just happy that these cleared customs long before any of the tariff stuff happened again.
Right?
So
Win. Yay.
winning.
When yeah, Jared, we were getting I don't know if you saw them. We were getting pictures. This is back when we were newer and everybody told us, hey, as you're landing those first few containers, you're on radar, they're going to check your stuff. We were just getting pictures of our merch like in cages. Like 12-foot cages with barbed wire at the top, and they're like, your stuff's here, but it's waiting to be inspected. And it looked so ominous. It was just on lockdown. It was like in prop jail. And, you remember those, Amy? And I'm like, wow. It's like we should try to find one of those pictures because they were funny looking. But
Your stuff's here. And if they don't behave, they'll stay here.
right, yeah, your stuff is waiting to be reprimanded. You better act
Right.
right. Yeah, exactly. That's. But we've been good so far lately. So yay. Let's.
Well, and that also has to do with, we've been importing and exporting quite a bit in the last 3 years. So that does kind of help alleviate some of that pressure. We're a
So.
known business now, a known importer.
Yeah.
So
I also think, thanks to Amy, our logistics are pretty tight. Our forms, our customs are pretty bulletproof. So bravo there. That helps a lot.
we have a great logistics team and a great customs broker. I cannot take all the credit because Eugene,
Well,
Linda,
you
Scott,
coordinate
you
all
guys
that,
are
so-
awesome, man.
Well, I was telling Thomas yesterday, we were just having a long conversation about the state of everything, what we're hoping to land by the end of the year, that sort of stuff. And I'm looking around the office and I'm like, yeah, it's a miracle we got anything done those first couple years. It's just, it's a miracle. We're pretty efficient now. We always say it's lather, rinse, repeat. Now, not a lot of stuff throws us for a zinger, anymore. We're like, okay, we know how to deal with this. But again, a good testimonial. You're right to Amy's abilities and keep things high and tight. Go, you girl.
Aw, thanks, guys.
What do you guys want to talk about? I was thinking about goofy stuff. I was thinking there's a couple podcasts I watch where they'll interview musicians and collectors and they'll talk about goofy little things around their desk or their office and that sort of thing. And I tripped over that. You guys want to hear a story about this guitar pick?
Yes.
Guitar pick.
It's guitar pick. Yeah. All right. So this is a Herco guitar pick. And what makes it a cool Herco guitar pick is it is from the very last Kiss concert with all original members. And I've been to so many, just dozens and dozens of Kiss concerts over the years since like 79 was my first concert. And I can't think of how many of the first farewell shows I did. And we were doing conventions and expos all over the place, on top of those back in the day. But out of all my years of going to Kiss concerts and having really good seats too, and a lot of them, I never caught a guitar pick, not one. And never got a piece of a guitar, nothing. And I was always in the right spot, but I think I was missing some of the proper body parts, where some of these things got thrown at you. So, and then in latter years, Kiss learned they could just sell you these things. Why keep throwing them out when they could just sell them to you? So at the very last show, that was in Charleston, South Carolina, no less. Now this is with, Gene, Paul, Peter, and Ace. Ace steps over to Gene's microphone and pulls a pick off his microphone and whips it right at my face. And my ninja got like reflexes, boom, my
Hit you with
guitar
your
pick.
mouth?
Yes, yeah, like a shrimp at
That big, huh?
Yamato. Yeah, exactly. So the pick comes right at the face. I snatch it, and as you were, sir. Thank you. And Ace is like, it's for you, buddy. None of that happened like that, but in my mind, it happened like that.
Heck
And
yeah.
anyway, I thought it was comical that I get the coolest pick from the last show, Gene pick thrown by Ace. So it just lives on my desk. And then one day I'll tell a story about being backstage after the concert and all the cool things that were happening back there at their very last show. But anyway, there you are. There's my pick story.
That's
All right.
awesome.
Yeah,
Is
kind of
it
happy about it. What?
Is it somebody else's turn now to go?
Yeah, sure. You got some shit laying on your desk? Go. Go.
I got some stuff we can't show yet.
Yeah.
I got this. Yeah, okay, there's a bit of a story here. I got this goofy tiki mug.
I like it.
It's a little wacky. It's not my favorite design. This is from Frankie's. I think Frankie's Tiki in Las Vegas. Yeah, Frankie's Tiki Room in Las Vegas. And I kept it because I think this is the last time I met up with John Morrissey at the Las Vegas licensing show.
Oh, respect.
So, yeah, he's a guy I worked with for like 30, well, maybe 25 years. Okay. But chances are, if you've got collectibles, prop replicas, something in your collection from Marvel, Star Wars, DC, whatever, statuary, whatever it is, John Morrissey and his company were involved in it somehow. So they worked on so much stuff over the years. So great guy. He unfortunately passed away like 2.5 years ago. Shocked us all. He was such a live wire, just a character, great guy to hang out with. You were almost a little worried when John Morrissey came into town. You're like, oh no,
Yeah.
Oh, we got to go with John. Oh boy,
Your liver's ready.
You got to go. You're committed.
go.
To
You got to stretch the liver out and get ready for it.
yeah.
Man, yeah, but yeah, that's I wasn't even thinking about that, but yeah, this is why this is here.
Dude, that's a great story.
Yeah.
That's my tiki mug from Frankie's with John Morrissey.
We all loved him. You guys had a little more time with him than I did, but he and I were bonding quickly and had many a conversation and adventure planned over our mutual love of tequilas. So, yes. You're like, yeah, that's what you need to do is get into that with him. But yeah, we had some plans, and then he just kind of that whole situation with him de-escalated. So I mean, it went so quickly. And oddly enough, the thing he had isn't what killed him. And that's what was so odd. We're talking about a whole different set of things, and then like, I didn't know it was that bad. Well, it wasn't. It was so. Yeah, respect. Liked him a lot. So, way to bring it down, Jared. Good job.
Oh,
no, he's a good dude.
Yeah.
We should do that every once in a while. So we'll plan something. Pull something quirky from your collection, and or just shit around the house, and we'll talk about it. So I love the update about Mr. Pinhead.
Is this horrible that I'm looking around my desk and literally everything that's on my desk outside of a half-finished print are all Paragon items? So
that's not bad. It's like Jared said, I'm looking around. I've got all this crap I can't show. I mean, I've got a 6-foot desk in front of me, and I got all this junk I can't show off yet, and yours probably looks the same. So
the cool shit I want to grab for right away.
Oh, that's cool.
Like,
show your cryo can off. We haven't had a cryo can in a long time.
I was gonna say this sits on my desk all the time, mostly because I do play with it like a fidget spinner. But I'll go find something for the next time we do this.
That's cool. And just a quick update so everybody knows, you'll be getting, if you've ordered NVs, Amy, you want to talk about that? Because you're going to update everybody anyway, so I don't want to talk.
For everybody on the NV list that has pre-ordered, You guys should be getting an email from me right after we finish recording this, and it's basically just letting you know to be on the lookout for your tracking number next week. So we're going to be finishing up all the rest of our pre-order people, and then we'll continue working down through our retail partners and some of the new orders that have come in. So we just really appreciate you guys' patience.
Yep. There we go. And
So exciting.
yeah, I'm excited about the Mr. DNA finally. He just seems like he's taken forever, but it'll be good to have that done. We've got so much stuff coming by the end of the year. What'd you say, Jared? We've got practically 12 things that'll be here before the end of the year. It's going to be a nice Christmas.
At least 12, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot going on.
A lot of it we've already discussed. Stuff like the Broken Joy Emanator, the Hero Joy Emanator. I don't want to say anything outside of my list.
You got the, well, I know. I was about to say, the Godzilla Tree Topper.
Godzilla Tree Toppers.
The Mecha Godzilla Tree Topper. We were talking about before we did this thing. We're going to do a couple little variants, not many, maybe 50 on each piece. So if you guys are into that, always best to join our newsletter. If you want to be the first to find out about anything we're doing, we kind of link it on the newsletter first, and then it goes to the socials. So do that. Go to the web. How do they just go to the website and hit join our newsletter?
Right at the top of our website, it says join our mailing list. Click on that.
And then you'll find out all the second we can breathe stuff. That's where it goes first. Well, we're itching to be chatty about it. So let's see, the tree Mecha and the Godzilla Tree Toppers, and we mentioned in another video where we'd shown those off before, just quickly on social, some pictures of them. They've actually gotten a lot bigger. They're good size pieces. And while we call them tree toppers, just because it's cool to have a Godzilla tree topper, they look cool on a shelf in the case. I've got them in a glass case at work. They look great.
Yeah.
So it's a bust that does stuff, in as much that it has the heat ray.
They can go on your tree, but I suspect a lot of collectors are just going to have them on their desk, on a bookshelf, year round.
I think so, because up on that tree, if I try to put it on my tree, I've got one of those crazy tall artificials. I'd have to pull out the ladder every time I want to fill him up with water.
Ooh.
And there's that.
How did that work on the tree? Does he look good? Because I think that's the one thing we don't have is a picture of a tree topper on a tree.
I haven't stuck him on a tree yet. I was saying if I were to put him on a tree.
You were. Okay. I thought you said you had tried.
No. But in my mind's eye, he looks awesome on a tree.
Yes.
I mean, I see him.
I might have to get a sample in and actually try that.
Well, I've got the office Halloween tree will be going up soon. And I'm before it's a Halloween tree, it will be a Godzilla tree. I'll stick the Godzilla ornaments. There's something else that's coming.
Sure enough. Yeah.
We've got the old school glass Godzilla ornaments coming, 2 different series. So what we're doing with those is we're kind of going to go chronologically, through Godzilla, starting super early and work our way right on through the years and theme the ornaments accordingly. So yes, and they're glass, old school. They're going to be cool. I'll do that. I'll put those on the tree, and then I'll put the tree topper on there, and we'll do some cool Godzilla pictures, and I'll show it off.
Godzilla tree. Hashtag Godzilla tree.
Yes.
Comment below.
Yeah.
and then we'll, before it turns into the Phantasm tree that we do every year.
Yes.
The Phantasm.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
So got that going on. And then the Oxygen Destroyer will be done this year.
Yep.
And then we've got a host of other little goodies that, I almost messed up and said something. So we'll wait.
I think what we just mentioned is all we can talk about, but there are at least twice as many additional items beyond what we just talked about that are also looking to land by the end of the year.
Yeah. And definitely some higher tiered product. We try to throw in some of the small cutesy things when we can, which might be a good segue to a thing here. I was on one of the forums the other evening and looking around, and somebody was suggesting that Paragon's a very expensive company, and we perhaps don't have our finger on the pulse of our market. That kind of thing. People have opinions on the internet, and essentially they
They
were
do.
discussing. What's that?
They do?
No, I know they. I was shocked that people had some opinions that differed from my own. Um, I know, right? And it's a world I don't want to live in, but it's cold water in my face, but I accept it. So I was looking at this thread. I'm reading it as you do, and essentially a good many of our items, like the NV goggles and the Hammond cane, it was being compared to. Now these Hammond canes, of course, ours it's the end all be all over the top Hammond cane with the real 3D printed. Look at it from every angle. It's an actual bug. It's not printed on an acetate that disappears when you turn it sideways. It's a full on movie prop replica. But there are lesser versions of the cane out there that are made of plastic, and they're licensed. These are licensed pieces. You could get them for 50 or 60 bucks as opposed to our 300, our more expensive piece. Price appropriate though. Anyway, uh, Spirit Halloween is going to be doing a costume accessory version of the cane, and it will be price appropriate also. And they've got some toy esque NVs that Jared's actually referred to as, it's like a Happy Meal night vision goggle. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. But we were being compared to these items, and it kind of fostered a conversation along the lines of, "Hey, this is apples and oranges, guys." And then I was explaining what our who our fan base is, what makes up our average collector, and because it was almost as though the tone of this particular post was Paragon effects, they're bad guys, their stuff's expensive, and almost to say, hey, I can't afford this stuff, so you guys suck. That's kind of what it was, and I okay, again, opinions on the internet and all. So I was thinking about, we do a lot of shows these days. We get to come face to face with the people who collect our stuff, and it led to a larger conversation, and we all picked this up earlier before we came onto this thing about who's our collectors base. In the world of movie prop collectibles and entertainment memorabilia, there's a lot of different tiers you could be at, right? You can have the guy who, the average fan, the casual fan, and maybe the hollow plastic Hammond cane is just fine for that casual collector, 60, 70 bucks, whatever. There's nothing at all wrong with that. And certainly if you're cosplaying, do you want to take your $300 cane out and about, putting on the Ritz, when you've got your $50, cosplay cane? Absolutely not. It's kind of like Blade Runner guns. Jared won't even take his $1,000 Blade Runner blaster out of the box, much less carry it around in a holster to show if he was dressing up like Deckard. But I'm sure you would take a paint up version of the $50 water gun.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So what Paragon always tries to do with anything that we make, we want it to be price appropriate. Our NV goggles, as they said, it's definitely a price appropriate piece. These are scanned from an original. They are heavy. They are purpose built as a museum quality collectible. This is something that it's an heirloom esque collectible. So once it goes into your collection, you kind of want it behind glass. You don't want people messing with it. Hey, don't touch. You're putting that thing up, and you're proud to have it in your collection. Now, if you go to one of these costume shops and they have a toy version of, like almost a Ben Cooper-esque kind of, costume accessory version, and it's close one eye and squint with the other, and it looks like this thing, well, there's nothing wrong with that. They're neat, they're fun, enjoy them. I'd even given this example where, like 20 years ago, I was down in Orlando, and I got off the Men in Black ride. And you know how they kind of herd you through the gift shop, when you're getting off the ride. And they had the neatest thing. They had these little MIB, little neuralizers. And they were plastic, painted silver. Of course, they're not chrome. They're toys, but it was still like 25 bucks or something. And I'm playing with it there as you do. And I'm like, gotta have it. Now, I got it for no other reason than it was fun. It was neat. I didn't take it serious. I certainly didn't think I'm going to go home and I'm going to chrome this and I'm going to customize it within an inch of its life and try to make a prop replica out of it. A lot of people do with some of these toys now. But it popped open, it made noise, and I think it had a little flashy thing to it. It might just have been a red LED that stayed on. I don't know. But anyway, I loved it. And that's kind of what some of these toy-esque, these novelty costume accessory pieces are. They're have fun with them, love them, play with them. If your kid wants to go out and play Jurassic Park, that's the kind of thing that it's there for. I just found it interesting that within the scope of some of these threads on some of the forums, that it was being compared to, it was such an apples and oranges odd comparison to me. Why would you compare the $800 end all be all to the, actually I think it's overpriced at 150 bucks. Why would you compare the $150 to the $800 thing? They shouldn't even occupy the same space, right? I mean, one's a toy, one is a high end museum quality replica, and that's what I was getting to, is the different tier of collectors. There's the casual fan who that's going to scratch that itch, that whether it's the plastic ham and cane in the corner that, hey, from a few feet away it looks great. The envies that you could actually play with that do a couple little fun things. That's wonderful too. Nothing at all wrong with that. That would be what I would say is your average collector, right? And then you've got your middle of the road guys, your middle of the road collectors, and sometimes just out of necessity. I was thinking about using Spirit as an example again. So last year they started doing those full sized proton packs.
Yeah, which I still need.
Yes, and I picked one up, and it was a few $100, I think, and perfectly price appropriate. It Yes, it's injection molded plastic. Yeah, it's got a bad paint job on it. If I wanted to put a better paint job on it, I could. If I want to change some hoses out on it, I could. That's an example of something that's a little fun to pick up, because what's your option? You get a $1,500 fiberglass pack that's got your clippered valves and everything else on it, which is awesome. And I will get one as soon as I have a minute to track one down. I want one. But this one scratched the temporary itch because there wasn't a high-end version on the market. And even if there was, let's say even if there was a $1,500 license pack on the market, and then there sets this nice $300 piece, if I was the average fan and I'm like, you know what, I'm going to stick that high up on the wall in my collection, nobody's, the $1,500 one's not going to look any better from 10 feet away or whatever. You've scratched an itch, you filled a gap. But the high-end collector is always going to be insatiable and want what mimics what they see on screen 100%, like it fell off the screen. And I think that's where our base comes in. They trust us to provide that. We don't want to be the guys who do the plastic cryo can. That ends, and mark my words, somebody will do a plastic cryo can. Jared and I were talking about this just before we saw the toy envies come out at Spirit. We were like, how long?
I knew it would happen with the NVGs. I just didn't think it would happen that soon. And
right.
I honestly thought it would be more like Mattel or Hasbro.
Yep. Yeah, we were saying, how long is it going to be before there's an injection molded plastic, Maddie collector-esque kind of envy out there, and it'll happen, and that will be that middle of the road collectible. Then you're going to have the low end over here at Spirit. You're going to have that middle of the road in Maddie, and I love the space they fill. I don't say that in any kind of disparaging or. I'm not denigrating that level of collectible in any way because it's badass. I love my proton pack. But if another collectible company, or if we were to make it, it would end up, it'd be a $1,500 pack and it'd look like it fell off the screen. It would be made to that caliber of collectible, collectors wants. So yeah, what I was saying was, I think that's where we're trusted with that. Like the again. And then people are another one of these threads that I've seen online. It was along the lines of, "Wow, it's weird that after all these years, this company does that, and now they do this and they do this." Well, that's because after a company like us come along and demystify a given prop, once we're showing it off from every angle for months before it's released, and we're showing its features, and we're doing videos like this, or we're talking about it online, we're pretty much providing the NV goggles syllabus. You know, we're putting everything out there you can on this piece.
Mhm.
Somebody should be able to come along and copy it, and they will. So just like those toy NVs at Spirit, there'll be another version of those now because we did the end all be all, and everybody else is free to do something less than. You know, that's a little frustrating, but that's the way of things. Just like the cryo can, there's a reason why nobody ever did that before. You know, on a licensed level, and it's because it's a hard piece to land. It's got a lot of weird little idiosyncrasies that can clog up. Your machine work can get burred up and slow down the prop or just flat ass lock it off. It's a complex piece. So I do think you'll see plastic ones, and we could have done plastic ones. It was actually in our line plan, if you recall, Amy, that we wanted the option. Were we going to do? For everybody who's watching, 5 or 6 of you, we were trying to decide our full on direction. Were we going to do some tchotchke fun toy esque things like Playmates on steroids, Art Asylum on steroids? Were we gonna do that and head for Walmart and Target, or we were going to just stay in our lane, be the collectors and the prop makers we are, and make the high end stuff? We're trying to find get our bearings, and yeah, we could have done easily took our tooling and made plastic cryo cans, but why make the $55 plastic cryo can when you could do the end all be all metal exactly off the screen use piece? That's our lane. That's our market, unapologetically. Does that mean we offer some really expensive stuff? We offer some really price appropriate collectibles. That's the best way to put it. And if that price exceeds a lot of people's range, yeah, that's unfortunate. I mean, we talk to a lot of people at shows who are like, they'll tell us great stories, and you know me, I'm easy. You know, you start telling me a story, I'll start sniffling and get all sensitive and stuff, and have to stick Jared in front of them for a minute. Handle this, Jared. They're upsetting me. And but I'm a softie. I love those stories, and I want everybody to be able to get our stuff. But we don't get to keep doing what we do if we're not going to do the middle of the road either. Could we take some of the stuff we do and do it less than what we do it? Yeah, but you've seen the end result of that. You've seen on the forums and collectors, and they will bitch. You know, if you've got the license to do a high end prop replica and you do anything less than if your price isn't right and it's not price appropriate, you're just getting torn to pieces online. And we've never had that, and we don't want that. So yeah, I think our collector, again, they trust that we will pretty much produce what they see on screen, and the price is going to be what it's going to be, and we're going to take as long as necessary to make it. Jared was talking about that the other day. That's one of the beauties of not taking payments in full, or none of our runs are dependent upon pre-orders. You know, we're going to make it no matter what. And in the course of doing that, hey, if it takes a year, it takes a year. If it takes a year and a half, whatever, 2 years for a Lost Boys bottle, that's what it's going to be, rather than release the chode, just release the piece of shit. We're just not going to do it. So, yeah, I think unapologetically we cater to the most ardent collector. And as Adam had said, what part's got you laughing, Jared? Which part of that?
Release a chode.
Yes.
Release
Yeah.
the chode.
Release the Kraken.
Release
Release
the Kraken. Followed by the chode. Yeah. So we don't want. Yeah. Poor choice of words, guys.
Sorry.
I thought that's what was holding everybody up. Let's just get it out. Just get it all out. But anyway, so we release only the best of prop replicas. Chode. Way to properly articulate the style of the company. Yeah.
Well, it should also be said that a lot of the high end collectors that we cater to, I think they buy it all. I think they'll get the middle of the road, they'll get the low road. They want to show if they love a particular piece or property film, they're going to get everything they can for it, including up to and including the high end one. That's I think that's just in their nature. Of all the collectors I've known, they just get it all.
Yeah, but fair one. Even Tom was saying, he was looking at the toy version. He's like, I think it's neat. It's cute, it's fun. And I agree. I think it's neat. It's cute. It's fun. I don't like the nuisance of having to. It's not so much to get to explain the difference, because I think you put that best, Jared. If somebody doesn't recognize the difference instantly between those two pieces, they're probably not our target audience anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like that piece is going to stop anybody from buying ours. Uh, but to your point, if they're buying ours, they're clearly enthusiastic about Jurassic Park and prop replicas, so they might appreciate those fun little tchotchke pieces too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's right. And
You can like a
to,
fillet. You can like a fillet, like a nice cut of meat, and you can also like a cheeseburger.
sure, I
Apple
think so.
choices.
So the fun thing about the spirit envies, I'll have Sean put up a picture of them side by side. Now that because some people I've even been called disingenuous in the last couple of days, where I've referred to those as happy. Imagine that, where I've referred to those as Happy Meal night vision goggles. No, I'm being brutally honest. That's exactly what I think they look like, is the Happy Meal equivalent of a night vision goggle. And if, like Jared said, if there's 1,500 spirit stores and they make 4 pair for every store, well, that's 6,000 pair of NVs. You should be mad they're $150, for Christ's sake. You should be mad.
That's my
What?
conservative estimate. I think they're probably making closer to 10K of those.
Yeah.
Probably. I would say so.
They've got to satisfy online orders too. So
Well,
the numbers, the quantity is is likely quite high.
well, right. And then the one thing cute that they do, they've got the running lights, and they'll spin. They've got the little twirly motor on them. But what they did is they had to make the lens half the size of the real one, so they could get the worm gear in it to make it do that. And that was something people would ask. So there's, as we've talked about before, there's a couple different versions of goggles made for the film, and most of them were static. Although you see 1 pair in the film, well, who knows? I mean, they could have switched between multiple pair that had the old camera lenses in them that allow to rotate. There were multiple pairs of goggles made for the film that lit up. All 8 lights, the green lights went up, and then the red, NV light lit up in the middle. But the goggles themselves were static. And when we scanned ours, that's the lane we chose, because sure, we could have done a $1,500 or a $2,500 pair of goggles with the full size lenses and motorized them, but nobody would have bought them. It would have crossed that. I mean, okay, 50 or 60 people might have bought them, but it would have gone a little too far to motorize them.
The higher a price item goes, the less people you have are going to participate in it. It's just the law of retail, supply and demand, pretty much.
Right. So we were able to find that nice sweet spot in, hey, look, a number of pieces made for the film, lit up, did this. This is cast off the same lens. This is a scan of the original piece. We've quilted and lined the inside, everything like it's supposed to be. It feels right. It feels like a real piece of equipment. We talked about that. Now, if we wanted to compromise, sure, we could have shrunk the lenses, made them half the size, and stuck a worm gear in them and had them spinning. It wouldn't have been a screen use piece, though. So it's a different audience. We're trying to live between your mind's eye of what you've seen on the film and actually what the prop is. And for that matter, people who collect replicas of screen use props, we do them a little bit of a favor. We keep them a little cleaner than their screen use counterpart, because most props look like ass when you look at them up close. I mean, you don't want them looking that authentic.
No.
So when go ahead.
Well, I'm just saying an actual prop, a real screen use prop, gets beat up. It gets destroyed during production. And also, I think just sometimes the way it's made, they're making it for a few seconds of on-screen presence. Therefore, they let a lot of things go. And when we bring it to you, it's a collectible that you want to have on your shelf, you want to look at. You don't want to see those flaws necessarily. You want to see the idealized, the perceived reality of how it has been on screen. And we've talked about that before too. Yeah,
absolutely. And it's the 40-year veteran who made that piece in the film all right, it's green and got some orange, and he's smoking a stogie, and what the crazy ass thing is this? And it's done. And there is a certain charm to those pieces when you see them up close, but you can tell they know full well the distance that piece is being photographed or filmed at. And although we are diehards and we don't like to stray too far out, we don't like to color outside of the lines too much with regard to taking liberties with pieces. We do try to make them as new when it's appropriate. So, and that's part of the QC process that's happening with the NVs right now. These things are so pretty, they're so shiny, and they're what you expect them to be, but I'm going through each and every one of them, opening them one by one, inspecting them, holding up to the light. Again, we're not looking for perfection in these, because I always try to be careful when I say that, because we do get, again, our biggest fans are our biggest critics. And some people get stuff and they want to look for what's wrong with it. And if you look, you're probably going to find something, because it's made by humans. Humans make these things. So it's kind of like we had a little issue where a number of Lost Boys boxes came back. Do you remember this? There was a Lost Boys bottle that was sold, and somebody got it. The bottle was perfect, but there were some faint scuffs in the boxes. Now these things get pulled across assembly lines in China, and and the products put in, a million hands touch these things. Now they're as kind as they can be to them, but it is part of an assembly line of stuff. And some people do grade their boxes like comic books. Like it must be a Jim Mint 10, it must be perfect. And we don't grade our boxes like comic books. Again, I make sure they're not, they should look clean. They should look very nice. They should be falling apart. But if you stick it under a gazillion megapixel camera and a zillion megawatt light halogen, yeah, you might find a scuff. And some people do that, and we have had to actually say, "Hey, look, sorry, we've fallen short of your expectation. We can't get you there." We've had to say that once or twice. I don't think we need to be shy about that. But as Amy and Jared will attest to, nobody's looking for as close to perfection more than I am. I've got us so close to stuff not even getting out of the door. I'm obsessing over it so much. Would you guys say that's fair?
Yes.
When you got, yeah, where Jared is like, "What are you doing? It looks great." I'm like,
Looks fine. Go.
Yeah, yeah, go. Let's get these done. We got more stuff to go through. I want what would be in my collection. Simple as that. So if you get it from me and know I've got my hands on it, and such has been the case with those NVs, rest pretty sure that's as good as it's getting. That's about as good as it's going to get. Do you guys? We've talked about this before. Icons back in the '90s, who they kind of started the whole high-end prop replica thing.
Mm-hmm.
Icons did such a great job of all of their stuff had a particular feel to it. It felt Hollywood. It felt prop maker. You would look at a piece like the ID4 Attacker. The Pulse Rifle was just a giant chunk of resin. They did some great lightsabers. It was the first time you could really truly hold a cool Graflex replica, and man, this is Luke's gear, But everything had a certain something. Maybe it picked up a little scuff in the hilt where they ran the rivets through it. It's going to happen when a human touches it. It's just the way it is. And all their props might have had a little something. You could, again, hand painted, not via mask or anything. Just didn't look like an action figure. It truly looked like a movie prop. And I would say that if I had to say what's the direction of Paragon, I'm trying to do that times 5 or 10. I love that look, but I want our stuff to be a little cleaner than that. I don't want to lose the handmade human element of a movie prop replica, but I also want it to exceed somebody's expectations. So I always throw in those words price appropriate, but it's funny while we were just talking about what is our collector. Yeah, it's the high-end collector who trusts that we did all the work for them. Would you guys say that's fair?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, what do you see at shows, Amy? I mean, customer service wise, I mean, you talk to people all the time who they're kind enough to check in and share, what they thought of a piece and
Well,
what.
and it's kind of crazy. We had a guy 2 weeks ago ordered an Elite Blaster, and while it was shipping to him, he'd reached out and said, "Hey, I've never I've never gotten a chance to see you guys at a show, so I've never seen it in person or felt it. Can you give me sort of an understanding or a breakdown of kind of what, what goes into what pieces? And it's not like a full, oh yes, I need to know what this metal is right here. Just, an overview of break the
Right.
piece down for me. And so we were kind of talking back and forth, and we left it at, hey, if you have any other questions once you get the piece, let's connect. We'll jump on a call like this and we can go through it together. I've got one here while you've got it in your hands. We can work through and talk about that. He wrote back the day he opened it and received it and was like, you know what? I had fully intended on getting with you about going through this piece because I assumed I'd have all these questions. Now that I have this thing in my hand, I just see how much work and effort that you guys
Yeah.
have put into this. I don't have any questions anymore. It's beautiful. And it really spoke to me of, yes, once somebody sees us at a show and they can hold the prop that they've been eyeing on the website for a while, it really does make a huge difference. And I really do feel like the people who are buying our products are really looking for that that nostalgia value, that jump off the screen directly into my hands kind
Yeah.
of value in the prop. And I don't know that we would be as successful as a new company without that dedication to the products. So good on you.
Well, yeah, if we hadn't picked that lane,
Right.
again, I don't think there's any room to be wishy-washy. I don't think you get to make the, I don't think you get to make the unleaded version of this thing. And it's tough. I mean, I'm thinking about a couple props we've got coming up that we've done a couple flavors of, but they're just such different animals. It's clear that we're trying to fill two niches actually on that end. But as far as an overall vibe goes, as far as the caliber of our pieces, where we want to land, um, yeah, I think we're satisfying that niche now. And as Jared said, the higher you go, the smaller that niche gets.
Yes.
You know, and because as a lot of people, oh well, won't you price yourself out of the market? Theoretically, you can live to, yeah. I mean, if you want to start gold plating stuff that doesn't need to be gold plated, or vacuum metallizing might do, sure. But for the most part, when we're sounding things out before we take a job, we're like, okay, where do we think we're going to be on, cost of goods? What's going to be landed? What's the market going to bear? Is the proverbial juice worth the squeeze? We go through all of that when we're sounding out what we want to do. But yeah, we try to do that. We try to do some fun, small stuff like the ornaments and the tree toppers and that sort of thing when we can. But that's usually depends on how permissive our studio is, right? Because when you do what we do, you pick a category, and our category is not necessarily Christmas ornaments and tree toppers. But if we mention that out up front, hey, we got some ideas. We want to make sure all these prop replicas, all these cool things, but we also want to have a little fun right here if we can. Are you guys cool with that? It's fun when we can do it, but for the most part, we stick to what we know, and that's the higher end stuff. You guys want to elaborate on that any? I mean, the only other thing I love it when we do shows, some of the stuff I think, like I always say, the back grapnel, the modular back grapnel, still one of my favorite pieces, and one of the hardest earned landed pieces we've ever done. There's so much machine work in there to get those pieces to line up and click together and not burr and be what they are. But when you just look at them online, when you see them on our web page, even if we do a quick video, it's hard to appreciate it. And that's why those sell when we do shows. When people can actually hold them and like, oh my goodness, and they can play with it and it click, click, click. It's very satisfying. That's an example of, I just wish we could do more shows, because the more you could handle a given piece, the more you can appreciate it. And same thing goes to the Blade Runner Blaster, the Hero. We never take enough of those. I'm always like, how many should we take to the show? And then that's another great example. The glyph, the chest glyph from 2022 Batman. It's metal. It's magnetic. You can display it in the horizontal configuration, which is really the only way you see it in the film, but for the V in the chest. But what a lot of people don't realize, and we've talked about it, is those pieces actually print the STL files that we printed ours from. It's a two-piece configuration. Clearly, they were made to be used as crampets, and maybe we'll get to see them used that way somewhere down the road. But we never see them in the two-piece configuration, although they were clearly printed that way. They even have belt clips on them on each individual piece. So we replicated them as is, but that's an example of you see it on the web. It looks a little flat, online. I mean, call it what it is. But in person, you hold them cold to the touch. They feel real. They're heavy. It's a fun piece. So, it just speaks to why it's always great to do more shows. But I guess I was trying to articulate some pieces you can visually, readily identify as price appropriate. The Blade Runner blaster looks like you would expect to pay $1,000. The cryo can, that sort of thing. It's there. But some pieces can be a little more deceitful. But yeah, there's a lot of people who get our stuff buy one of everything, regardless of whether they necessarily love that particular thing. They just want to have the collection. Like you would have the guy who loves Blade Runner, loves JP, might be lukewarm on Batman, but hey, I'll pick it up when they run a sale. I'll pick it up when they do free shipping or whatever. And that's always flattering when somebody just tells you they've got a little bit of everything. So anyway, I'll wrap it up with just the post made me think about it. And sure, everybody's got an opinion on the internet. And I know a couple guys thought I was picking on the Happy Meal. I'm just not going to call it anything other than the Happy Meal Indiegogo because I loved being called disingenuous for saying that. But it's not to denigrate it. If when they run the 40% off thing, I might get one. I might get one. I think I love Jurassic Park. I think it's fun. I'm not saying I'm worried about them hitting our market. If anything, we help them. It's much easier for the casual collector to look at RNVs and go $800, and then they see that they don't. It looks similar. They probably think that's a score. Let me get the hell yeah, $150 rather than their 800. They're not comparing apples to oranges, but it's a much easier lift for them to be compared to us than vice versa. So we always have to earn our lane, and we've talked about that. Even like the Bat Radio, the 66 Bat Radio for $250. Now it's worth every bit of $250. It's modeled off an original radio. It talks, it lights up, it's heavy, it's got raising brass antenna. It's everything you want it to be for $250, price appropriate. But there's a lesser version of that out there that doesn't show anything for scale. It's hollow plastic. It's got a light in it. And when you look at those, and it's $35. And when you look at those side by side, if you're not a dialed in collector, you're an enthusiastic collector. You are the average collector. That more than scratches that itch. Whereas the diehard's like, yeah, that's cute, but I want that. And that would be the difference. Just the more demanding collector would be who we have chosen to cater to. And that's not because we're snobby. It's just that's what we like. That's just what we're good at. And if we wanted to be the company that made plastic stuff in Walmart and costume shops and that sort of thing, well, we could. We just wouldn't be us. So what do you guys think? You got anything to add to that? I mean, I kind of ranted for a minute. That's the coffee. That's the Benadryl. That's the Sudafed. And that's the 3 cups of coffee that have been going on.
Man, you got crushed up.
Dude. And then I felt festive before we got on here because I was so amped. Look what I did. I got my 76 Superman glass with my super cool bamboo umbrella. And there's nothing even alcoholic in here. It's just water. But I felt pretty. Don't judge me.
I like that glass. And I always like an umbrella in my drink. So, I mean, come on.
I got a bunch of them. I love it. Do you guys have anything else? Jared, do you want to cover anything? You have any thoughts about our collectors, how they are the best fan base and group of collectors in the world?
They are.
I agree. I like engaging with them at shows. Hope to do some more shows. I don't know what we got scheduled for the rest of the year, but
Amy and I are working on it.
Yeah.
Going into 26, yeah, I know we'll do some more and get to engage with some people. Yeah, it'll be cool.
Yeah, I'd like to do some fall shows. That'd be fun. Hold us over. I mean, we get the big blowout show at Mega in Orlando, but yeah, I'd like to squeeze in a 2 or 3 before then. That'd be great.
Absolutely.
But yeah, everything else is cool. I got nothing else. I'm just going to keep on grinding with QC, and we're looking forward to the Mr. DNA and Chris Snipes.
Yep. We'll keep you guys posted as they come in.
Yeah,
So-
everybody have a good weekend. We probably should call it done so this thing will post.
Post.
All right, cool.
Well,
If you guys have any questions, everybody's going to try to say bye at the same time. Go first, Amy. You go first.
you guys have a great weekend.
Jared, you want to say something?
Same. Everybody have a great weekend. Stay cool.
Yeah. It's getting cooler. Fall's coming. I'm happy. If anybody needs anything, and like we do say often, if you guys have any questions on anything we've got, hit Amy. And then if you need me, hit me. Call me. Amy will send you to me, and I'll talk you to death about whatever you want to talk about. Want to talk about Blade Runner guns? I'm your boy. The Batman stuff, whatever, hit me up. Happy to answer any questions you guys have. And if you want to talk about some of the upcoming stuff, I'm there for you too. So everybody have a good weekend. I'm out.
Awesome. We'll see y'all later.